the housing market crash. Let's talk about it, because it seems like every single person who doesn't currently own a home and wants this exact thing to happen. And let me explain to you why it's not a good thing. Who do you think the housing market crash would really truly affect? I don't think it's who you think it will. It will affect the average homeowner the most. The people who have bought their houses within the last 5 years. Why would it affect them? Because they probably owe way more than what the house is actually valued. So let's give you this scenario. Let's say that you bought a house for $200,000 and there's a 50% reduction in the value of the home, a 50% drop in the market. Your home is now valued at $100,000, but you still owe the $200,000 because that's how the beginning of loans work. You pay more in interest at the beginning. Well, you pay all of the interest in the beginning, so they get their money. So if anything happens sideways, the average person who has bought their house within the 5 years will be screwed. And then you are thinking that because houses are cheap that you'll be able to swoop in and get a house deal for super cheap. But if the crash were to happen, you wouldn't be able to get the lending to get the house. They would want their money up front. So only people with the cash would be able to do it. And how ironic is that the stock market has currently been seeing massive sell-offs, making huge dips in the market. When a sell-off happens, that is purely because very intelligent, savvy investors have decided to extract their cash and cash in essentially. They know what's coming and they're prepping themselves to be able to swoop in for the kill. The average person is going along with exactly what the really rich want to happen, because what will happen? They'll just become way richer. And the saddest part is that majority of people are wanting this to happen. They think in their mind, because they've been tricked and conditioned to believe that this is their chance, when it is absolutely your last stand. I don't think the average person actually realizes how loans, especially certain types of mortgages, actually work. The bank or the mortgage company is simply the middleman to this transaction. They make money off of this deal. Essentially what happens is when you need to borrow the money for your home, they find a very wealthy rich person that has that money, and they set up all the parameters for you to qualify for that money, and then they collect the interest off of that money, sometimes collecting 40, 50, or even 60% more with their initial investment. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's like 110% of their actual initial investment. Because let's say that you borrow $150,000, by the end of it, you've paid $350,000 after the 30 years. And who is gaining that money? It is not the bank. It is the person who has backed that loan. Now you see why there's been such a huge gap between people becoming rich and people becoming really poor, because there's a huge shadow game going on that you have no idea is happening, and you're being tricked into it by believing that that's the American dream, but it does not exist. You are simply a pawn in this Game of Thrones.